Hi everyone, this is Wayne Rivers at Performance Construction Advisors, where we build better contractors. This week I want to talk about 7 habits that you need to stop. Last week, 7 habits of successful contractors. This week, 7 habits you need to stop. Before we get started, think about that real estate developer peer group that I talked about last week. We're looking for 1 to 2 additional contractors to fill that group up. And then don't forget about boot camp either. We'll have the link for Charlotte below. And let her know you're interested and she'll get you the information you need. Okay, so last week, with apologies to Stephen Covey, we did the 7 habits of successful contractors. I also crowdsourced my guys. I said, turn that coin over. And okay, we're talking about success. What are the 7 things that really hold contractors back? So these are behaviors that hold you back and you need to stop. Okay, so let's run through the list in no particular order. Number 1, detracting from inspirational leadership. What's inspirational leadership? Well, in boot camp, you learn that stuff. Mike Flengy is all about, Mike and I agree, you can't motivate people. People are self-motivated, or they're not. You can't motivate people, but you can inspire people. You can inspire people to give a little more effort, a little more attention, a little more whatever it happens to be. But you can't motivate them. You can't bring in a motivational rah-rah speaker and have that excitement continue for the next 364 days. It just doesn't work that way. You can inspire people on a regular basis in your organization, however. Barriers to inspiration are remoteness, secrecy, aloofness. You know, Mike advocates management by walking around. And I think it's a great thing. It works. It's so simple, but it works. And so don't hide in your office. Don't hide behind plans. Don't make yourself visible. If it's not you, if that's not who you are, you can't force it. But somebody in the organization needs to be doing that management by walking around. Make sure that your people are seeing senior leaders regularly, have access, etc., etc. The second is my big one, becoming complacent. Complacency is a business killer. You've heard me say it 100 times. Assuming the construction boom that we've been in. Now, right now, it looks a little softer maybe in the spring of 25. But it should be a short, if it's a bump at all, it should be a short one, right? So assuming that this long construction boom that we've been on is going to continue could set you up for failure. So you need to be thinking now, I don't want to be pessimistic, but what if? What if there's a softening? What if volume is, what if projects aren't available and suddenly your volume is looking like maybe 10%, maybe 20%, 40% lower? How are you going to react? Go ahead and start thinking about that now so you'll have a game plan in place that you can pull off the shelf just in case. And then you got to think about specific markets too. You know, if you had told me prior to 2020 that downtown office space in the major cities of North America would be where it is right now, I would have thought, to me that just seemed like owning gold bars. You just can't go wrong, right? But you know, sectors change, specific markets change. So you've got to make sure that you're changing with the economic ebbs and flows. And then the assumption that your company's bulletproof. We weathered the recession of 1990 and the post 9/11 recession and all that stuff. Yeah, but nobody's bulletproof. Construction companies come and go. And I've been around long enough now in our market here. I mean, of the ones that I thought were the market leaders in North Carolina in the 90s, for example, there's just not that many of those around anymore. Others have come in to take their place, of course. I mean, demand is gonna cause the supply to fill up, but so a lot of those high flyers from the 90s or early 2000s just aren't around anymore. The third thing is retaining less than A players, especially toxic people. I've talked to so many contractors and they say, yeah, we know that John Doe or Jane Doe is a problem, but he or she always brings the projects in on time and on budget, so we're willing to put up with it. Can't you find people that aren't toxic, that aren't negative, that aren't contrary to your values and your culture, that can do projects on time and on budget? Is it just a given that to bring in your projects on time and on budget, you have to be a horrible person? I'm not seeing that. So be on the lookout for A players, and anytime you get a chance to get a top-of-the-line player, by gosh, get them. The fourth thing you need to stop is letting family or people issues simmer and go unresolved. It's so damaging to morale. You know, conflicts over over people issues, ownership succession, management succession, people who want to stay beyond their sell-by date. All that stuff creates angst in your organization, and you need to resolve that before it becomes problematic. The fifth thing is ignoring non-construction things. As senior leaders, you can't just be on the job site every day. You've got a lot of things, you're juggling many balls. And if you're ignoring things like employee benefits and administration and HR and IT and long-term planning for the company and training and employee development, if you're ignoring those things because you're such a contractor, you've got to be on the job site every day, then that's not good. If you're not going to do that, hire a COO or somebody that is willing to look after those things, because the company needs it. Your employees need those things. And if you don't provide them, somebody else will. The sixth thing is being doers instead of being executives. To me, that's the reason Dennis and I started the peer group program way back, golly Moses, a long time ago now, more than a quarter century ago, because compared to some other industries that we knew, contractors were much more doers. They were almost like glorified project managers. And they really didn't think like businessmen and women. They didn't think like executives. And that's why we created the peer group program, to lift senior leaders out of that doer, project manager, estimator role and turn them into business people and executives. And, to some degree, I think we've been successful. And finally, the seventh thing, taking large distributions to fund personal consumption instead of reinvesting in the company and providing liquidity for a potential downturn, which may hit us who knows when. Okay? So those are the 7 things that you need to stop in order to be succession. It's the opposite side of successful contractor coin that we talked about last week. All right, let's hear from you. Send me an email. This is Wayne Rivers at Performance Construction Advisors, where we build better contractors.